As we learned about the Golden Spike and the Transcontinental Railroad each year, we learned that the Golden Spike isn't in Utah, it's in California. And kids are always surprised to learn that. I was surprised to learn that. I wanted to go and take a picture of the Golden Spike that I could just bring back and show my students each year. So we got down there and saw that the Golden Spike, it's in a glass case there in the Cantor Arts Center at Stanford University, but there's no lettering or plaque even identifying what it is, nothing explaining its history or its significance, and that was really puzzling to me. And I thought, well, it's really important to us in Utah. I thought it might be a fun writing activity to give my students each year. Instead of just showing them the picture, I'd say, well, let's write a persuasive letter to the museum each year and say, hey, that maybe you should at least put up some kind of display or plaque explaining what this is, or even better, why don't you loan it to Utah so we have it here. That first day we started writing, and I thought, okay, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this right. For our press conference today to kick off our public campaign for Spikes to Utah, and that's when I had the idea to do a larger scale letter writing campaign. First I thought, well, I'll get the whole fourth grade to do it with me. And then, well, why don't we try and get the whole district? And then I thought, may as well go statewide. and it just kind of kept on getting bigger and bigger. And I contacted Stasha Wheeler, our district social studies specialist.
I received an email from David Pendleton where he kind of explained the genesis of his idea and what he wanted to do with his students. And really the crux of his email was, is this even possible? My initial response was, I love this idea, it sounds amazing, and yes, we can do this. So let's take this next step, which involved Tim Glenn from the Utah History Museum coming to students and talking about the process of acquiring an artifact.
It is a very complicated process, and they get lawyers involved, and they have to write up a contract and all that. And so he kind of explained to us that, like, I want you to understand this is a big ask that you guys are doing, but I think it's totally possible and it's totally worth trying.
I reached out to an organization in the community that I knew would be perfect for helping students learn how to run a campaign, and that's why I chose Wilkinson Ferrari & Co.
My name is Lindsay Ferrari. I'm a partner in a communications firm called Wilkinson Ferrari & Company, and we specialize in campaigns for the general public. Our firm worked on the Spike 150 campaign, which was a year-long campaign to educate Utahns about the importance of the Golden Spike and the history that we have right here in our backyard. Our work that we do every day is all about educating people, getting them engaged, and then really activating them to do something. And so when I worked with Mr. Pendleton's class, I was amazed at how these kids had an instinct for what they thought would engage other students. We talked about all the campaign elements like a website, media relations, social media, but they were bringing stuff to the table. They had their own ideas, how they thought they wanted to engage their friends, their family, and other kids around the state.
My favorite part is meeting the people who are helping us get this campaign up and running. When they started talking about the Golden Spike, I was really excited to learn all of its history and where it was and what we were going to do about it. I was really hopeful that we could start a campaign or do something like that to bring the spikes back so fourth graders like us could actually learn about them.
We get to create websites, send emails, make updates on Facebook and Twitter, so that people get caught up.
One thing I really loved was their logo, and we talked about logos as part of the classroom exercise, and we decided that the most powerful thing for this group would be for a kid design logo. Not a slick logo out of some office downtown, but they designed it themselves, and I think that really adds to the kind of the charm of the whole thing.
All of us worked together to make those posters. To them in California, it's no big deal, and to us in Utah, it's really big.
It's important because we're trying to get something back to Utah that was made here. The history of the golden and silver spikes were made here.
One really helpful contributor is former Representative Elizabeth Waite. She has a really unique background that made her a perfect candidate for this project. She's a former teacher. She also serves at the Utah State Capitol, helping with tours and explaining the history there. And so she was so excited to be involved and has gone into the classroom and worked with the students, and then is kind of using her connections to help further spread the news of this campaign that these students are running.
We had all that experience coming into our classroom, to help us not only brainstorm the campaign, but to kind of know exactly what we needed to do to really make it successful. Everyone that I contacted in the district was immediately on board and ready to support us and help us in any way possible, even all the way up to our superintendent.
Hello, I'm Rich Nye, Superintendent of the Granite School District, and I can't tell you how proud I am of Mr. Pendleton and his 4th grade class at Neil Armstrong Academy. They have put together an effort to bring the Spikes home. This campaign is expanded across the state of Utah and is gaining traction on the national level.
And finally, in our Inspiring Kids series, a 4th grade class is turning a history lesson into action, trying to bring an important piece of American history back home to Utah.
Not only were they learning about the history of the Transcontinental Railroad and why it's significant to the state of Utah, but they themselves are also now becoming part of history in their efforts to try and preserve it and bring it back to the state.
Yeah, we want our students to learn everything that's in the curriculum, but on top of that, we want them to learn to be good citizens. We want them to learn how to be a part of the community and make a positive impact on your community.
One of the things that appealed to me about this campaign was just the civics element of it. I think this is a project that students are going to kind of look back on and say, wow, even as a 4th grader, I was able to have an impact. And so that's not just something that I did as a 4th grader, that's something that I can do when I'm an older teenager, it's something that I can do an adult, it's something I can do when I have my own family, and there's a need that I see in my community that needs to be addressed. They'll be able to draw on the positive experience that they had with the Spike to Utah campaign to kind of help inspire them in the future things that they want to make better in their communities.
What started as that writing assignment has now included the breadth and depth across all other academic content areas. We really are spanning the curriculum in what is an authentic learning experience that these students are going to remember for the rest of their lives.
So I recently moved schools, and this is my 1st year here, but this is the best year I've ever had.
I think they're gonna say yes because, we're getting thousands of letters. Well, we hope they say yes, but we're not for sure.
I love their determination. We'll keep following this and see where it all goes.
It was so fun to see them getting national attention for the hard work that they have put in. And honestly, my favorite part of that whole segment was at the very end when they said, we're going to continue to follow this.
Spikes to Utah! Spikes to Utah!
This is not a project that will maybe end with these 4th graders. This could very easily be a project that continues on with the next class of 4th graders. As a mom of elementary students, I shared this campaign with them. And one of my reactions that my son gave me was, I wish I was in that class. And I wish he was in that class too. That's the kind of education that I want for my own children, for them to be able to see that what they're learning in school has real applicability to life and helping them become better people.
Again, whether we're successful or not in the campaign, of course we really hope we are, the learning that has happened along the way is just incredible for these students. And so they're going to be able to draw on that, hopefully for the rest of their lives.